2012 Chevy Express 1 ton with a 6.0 liter engine. And if I remember right, it's a camshaft position sensor. It was a pain in the butt to do because I had to remove the water pump, the fan, the top shroud. Couldn't do a whole lot from the bottom. There was one particular bolt that I kept having problems with. I didn't realize that it was open on this side and I could have slid this over. I guess even then it didn't matter because I couldn't get that to move. It holds this bracket. I couldn't get it to move, pulling the bracket back enough to get the sensor out. There's 3 bolts, this one, and then there's a bottom one down inside there that I was able to get to from the bottom. Let me try to zoom in on it for you. It's right there. It's on. It's again. That's all for the bracket. I didn't start the video out at the beginning, so these steps are going to kind of be backwards. I'll try to tell you right now the order that I did. First, I took off the, oh god, I can't, air intake. I'm not a mechanic, I'm far from it, I'm a plumber. But the air intake I took off. It had 2 10mm bolts up front holding it on. Then I took off the reservoir for the cooler, or for the radiator. Same thing, 10. Most all these bolts were 10 metric. Took it off. Then I took the shroud off, that piece. Then I got in there. I'm still fighting with the one bolt. So I took the serpentine off. Still didn't do nothing for me. Took the clutch, fan clutch or whatever off. We went down there and made up a little tool real quick, which may still be sitting in here. Yeah, it sure is. All we did is I took a piece of, I think it's almost 1/4 inch rod. I put it on the grinder, grinding it down a little bit, so that it would go in the holes that are on the water pump, like so. It's hard to see, let me hit it with the flashlight. Once we got that in the hole on the water pump, I then took the fan clutch off. Now I was underneath, and I had this on the other side, and underneath of it I was turning the fan clutch clockwise. I was grabbing hold of it here. Of course, this rod that we made was in one of the holes on the water pump on the passenger side of the vehicle. Then I grabbed this from the bottom and turned it I turned it that way. So I turned it clockwise to get it off. It's one of those things where you always think righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, but sometimes things are backwards, and then when you flip around and look at them upside down doing acrobats, you got to turn a different way. So again, we're going to try to install all this as fast as possible backwards, and hopefully it helps. But those are pretty much all the steps that I took just to get to that one little bolt. Now, if you could have loosened that bolt right there, I couldn't get in there to loosen it, but if you could have loosened it without removing the water pump, then that whole bracket would have slid to my right as you're looking at the front of the motor, so toward the driver's side, and then possibly came out to remove the camshaft position sensor. The whole reason I started doing this was because it was acting like my transmission was slipping. I had a check engine light on, went to the local auto parts store, had them hook up diagnostics. They said some old crap about, oh, it's probably just reading it run funny, it could be a number of things, let's reset it and see if it happens again. Bam, next day it happened again. That sounded like they spun me. They didn't know what it was, so they just reset it for me, sent me on my way, get me out of there. I googled it online, the report of what the diagnostic said. It was something weird, like it sounded like it could have been timing or camshaft, or it sounded like it could have been all kind of different stuff. But it was making my transmission wouldn't kick in. I couldn't get it to kick in drive, couldn't get it to kick in reverse. I mean, it would, but it acted like it was slipping. I was thinking maybe a map sensor, but at any rate, back to what we're doing. So I'm gonna try to show you backwards of how to put everything back together. We're gonna start with the serpentine. Now, my serpentine belt looks pretty good shape. It don't have any cracks or anything in it. So, normally I say you got all this shit apart, go ahead and replace the belt, fuck it. But mine don't, like I said, overall this is looking pretty good, so we're going to do that. But I guess it would help if I had the water pump back on. So, there were 6 bolts to remove the water pump. And, it looks, everything about this looks different than what I'm used to, really. I tore apart a O2 motor and redid it as much as I could, and that's really the extent of my mechanic abilities. So I'm trying to start all these threads by hand because we sure don't want to cross thread nothing. And sometimes you got to give anything kind of a jiggle. Seemed like there was one up under here. There's a couple that were hidden. I don't know if you can see where that's going in. A couple of these were hidden. You couldn't really see them from my position up top here. In the past, a lot of water pumps I've had to take off. Always had 4 bolts, but again, I haven't done a whole lot of mechanic work. I'm far from a mechanic. My profession is plumbing. I can run circles around most of the best, but not in the knuckle busting job of working on a motor. God, I hate it, man. I hate working on a motor. I thought this sensor was going to be something fairly easy to do, but I mean, that's why I started to do it, start tearing everything apart. Then once I got to the point where I'm like, damn, I'm gonna have to remove the water pump too. Like if I'd known it was gonna be all this, I probably would have found out what it would have cost somebody else just to go and fix it. But I'm just a poor ass white boy at heart anyway, so if I can try to fix it, I'm trying to save me a couple dollars. I don't have any of the bigger ratchets out here because I was working on all that smaller stuff and didn't bring the big stuff out. Didn't think I was going to get this deep into the motor. got a 1/2 inch ratchet out. Oh, that's what I had. Normally, I'd say replace some gaskets too, but I wasn't prepared to remove my water pump. And to be honest, they look pretty good. I bought my truck in August of 2012. Really, I think this is the only thing with the motor I've had to do. I had to replace my battery. I think that was situational. When I first bought it, it sat for 6 months. And I didn't really drive it much, trying to keep the mileage off of it. When I got it, it had 4 miles on it. And doing plumbing, residential plumbing, and I get around, I've got 72,000 miles on it now. So at 72,000 miles, providing YouTubing and all that, and Googling the error codes, said that sensor, so providing all that was correct, you know, this would be the only thing would have had to do on it. All these bolts were fairly loose, so I'm just going to get them a good snug. Looks like they go into the block, which is one of the few things that are steel on here. Seems like there's a lot of aluminum. But okay, so we did all them 6 bolts on there. Now I'm going to throw the serpentine on real fast. Let me see if I don't know. I used channel locks on the pulley, so I don't know what size that thing is. We'll try 5/8. Yep, so it's 5/8. Normally I remember there being stickers on the inside of here to tell you which direction your serpentine goes, but I don't see any on here. It's not on my shroud. I mean, I guess in the manual it's probably in there. Trying to go off of memory, which is probably not correct.
I tried.
Something, man, that's loose as shit. Oh, so I bet it was something like that. And I bet it did something stupid, like came off here, went around those two, came up through those two to hit the fan. Yep, that's gotta be it. So then put our ratchet on this, oh yay, on our tensioning, tensioning wheel. I guess it all could have popped off. Try to line everything up the best you can. Okay, there it is. Serpentine. Successfully done. So, I'm going to try to follow through there real quick just to show you on this 2012 it's probably the same on the GMC Savannah, but this is a Chevy Express. So we go down around, I can't remember what that's called, it goes into our probably camshaft wheel, up around the water pump. So camshaft main wheel around the water pump, back down around maybe air conditioner, whatever that is. I don't think it's the air conditioner though. I think that one's over there. Anyway, up around the alternator, around another pulley, around our adjustment pulley, and then back down to the real big wheel. So, belt on, that easy. So the next thing I think I'm going to do is put the clutch fan on. Try to get it back on there nice and tight. Go backwards threads. Or no, actually I don't think it had it. I think it had backwards threads.
That I think you can just tighten up. That thing will spin.
It'll tighten itself. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's no longer spinning it. I'm sure that's tight enough. I hate to put it on there too tight because then it'll be a bear to get off. So, make sure I'm not forgetting nothing. I did take loose that bolt because I was going to take off the bottom shroud. So there's 2 bolts on the bottom shroud, but I'm not going to mess with it right now because I want to be able to show you real quick how to get this stuff back in here. Our next thing is going to be the shroud itself, the top one. I need to get my intake out the way. I left it all plugged in and everything. Didn't want to. I was trying to do as little as possible. Forgetting anything? I don't think so. Now this I had to take out toward the driver's side. I had to do some more weird acrobatics to get it out. Now the top of the shroud does kind of nicely set onto the, locks onto the radiator a little bit, so you gotta kind of watch where it sets and make sure it's in place and all that good stuff. There we go, that feels great there, so I'm gonna start putting those in. Which, ironically enough, were 10 metrics as well. I guess it makes it easy to deal with. So I'm gonna try to. One thing I couldn't figure out when I was taking the shroud off is how to break that clamp loose. These other ones, you stick a once they're together like that, you take and stick a screwdriver in here, and you just kind of pop them loose. And they'll pop real quick and easy. You just kind of, bam, you pry it like that, and it'll pop those loose. I couldn't figure out how to get that one loose, so I just pulled it up out of there. So there were 6, besides the one on the bottom I took loose, there were 6 of these, and the shroud I took loose. And there's, you know, just, well, on the inside there was the 3 on each side, and then there was 2 more on the motor up top. I mean, not the motor, but where it goes across the top of the frame or whatever up here. Another thing I forgot to mention, when I started, I disconnected. Some people disconnect the negative. I disconnected the positive on the battery. I didn't want to short nothing out, trip nothing, or anything like that. I did jack the vehicle up off the ground a whole bunch to make it easier on myself. Putting all this stuff, dealing with all this crap. What crap it is when I'm looking to do this, I don't know. I guess I'm gonna go ahead and make the video quick. You'll have to physically sit here and watch me do all this. After you get those in the side, it's the same exact on the other side. You're gonna want to take this down in here. There's a spot in which it will set on the shroud to guide it down to the bottom, right there. I don't know if you can see that or not. That's the relief drain for the reservoir. So after I do all that, I'm going to bring this up, tie it back onto these. Don't do it because we're going to just speed it all up. So there's 2 of them. There was that one there, one over there. Then I'm going to bring this back up. Oh crap, hold this. I'm doing it like I'm doing the flashlight. Bring this back up, slip the tops into those 2 pieces, anchor it right there with another 10 metric bolt. Then the air intake hose clamps are 5/16, make it a little easier to get them off. There was a little piece on the side that tied into this one. You're just going to push it in and get it to click in there, and then you're going to swing this around and put it back on the air intake 5/16 to tighten it down. Then you're going to bring your Vortec mass airflow, that's the name I was looking for earlier. Put it back on. This side has you got to get it into the hose again on this side, 5/16 it. Once you get that all in place, you're going to come over and it's going to fasten in with its 2 bolts. Another thing about the mass airflow, it's kind of tricky, is lining it up with these 2 pieces. There was this one that it popped off of real easy, and then this other one it probably shouldn't have popped off as easy as it did. But so you're going to line those up, smash them on the best you can, and again, once all that's into place, you'll come over, hit your 2 bolts, and then the very last thing would be your connector positive on your battery. When I always suggest hop back in it, see if your check engine light's off. It should be, because we reset it by having the battery disconnected for so long. I think that's it. Good luck.